To me, the three scenarios in likelihood of happening are this. Number one, the most likely, they all stay together, and we'll see after a couple years of the 12-team playoff and what other expansion ideas each conference has, in the next round of TV deals, where we are. I think that's probably where it is, so that they can get to the finish line. Two, to me, less likely to happen, but more likely than option three, is that, a couple of teams leave because they can get out now. They've decided that their future is better somewhere else, and they're going to get out now while they have where it's easier to do it. It's easier to do it. They don't want to do this again in 5 years, and they're just going to get out now. And they replace those teams, and they'll still have 10 teams because San Diego State and SMU will replace the two that they lost. And
that's a piece that I'm really interested in.
And they'll move on. And then because I think those teams are going to get added regardless.
I think San Diego State's pretty much a lock. Yeah, I don't know about beyond that. Yeah.
Well, I think San Diego State is going to get added, and then there'll be another team in there.
I almost feel like they get added regardless. Yes, like that's happening.
Somebody's going to be in there, like an SMU or a Boise State or something. I mean, I don't know, but just for the sake of evening things out and not having an 11-team conference, you're going to probably add San Diego State and then see what happens after that. But then the third one would be the nuclear option, where we get to the end of the month. They don't really have that great of a plan, and then it explodes. But the problem with that being is that, if I just don't. It's not. The Big 12 just can't take everybody, right? They couldn't just turn around and be like, all right, we'll take everybody who wants to come here. And then there'll be like 3 schools sitting back there going, oh, all right, well, we just stayed here because we didn't want to do that. So that's not going to happen. And then the Big 10 doesn't seem to be ripe for anything. The SEC's not even interested in any of them. So, again, you're right back where you started. So staying together is the best thing. And then maybe you lose a couple teams just because they're tired of the rigmarole or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
Like that to me would be the second most likely thing, in that they're like, okay, well, particularly in Colorado's case, like the Pac-12 hasn't worked out for us. We're going to go back to the Big 12, and then Arizona goes, well, we're not great in it either, except for basketball. We might as well go to the Big 12 and, then see where we go from there. But I've never been able to wrap my head around how it's all going to work out if everything shook down and a conference completely collapsed, a Power 5 conference completely collapsed, because
it wouldn't collapse entirely. It would be reduced to a shell of itself.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of like I'm sure people view the Big 12. It would be similar to that. And I don't know. I feel like the Big 12's actually kind of kept its identity, because I don't think the identity was necessarily always just Texas and Oklahoma. Like, that was the eyeballs and the ratings and the talk most of the time, but I don't know that was the identity. Maybe people feel differently. It doesn't really matter, quite frankly. But, there's that perception that, you could be falling to a different level or tier than you were on previously. I think the Big 12 was able to, in a quick amount of time, scrounge up and investigate and discover some new possibilities, and then make some good additions that, allowed you to stay about right where you were. And whether or not the Pac-12 could do that with those rumored additions as well, we will see. But it's interesting, because in their messaging, they definitely haven't made it sound like they're absolutely taking at least 2 teams. It's always sounded like San Diego State's pretty much a foregone conclusion, and then it's a question of, like, do we do anything beyond that? And I don't even know, like, is San Diego State an automatic, though, if everything just stays as is? I think so, but I'm not exactly sure on that.
Yeah.
That part, and that's why I think that part is kind of, maybe just in this area at least, because there's so much discussion about the other side and the Big 12 side of it. But I'm fascinated. Like, SMU getting the Pac-12 invite would be very noteworthy. Like, that would be something to talk about, and same thing with San Diego State. But yeah, I don't know. Like, they definitely don't sound like they're going and grabbing 4 no matter what, and they're going to stabilize it for the long haul and all of that stuff. But yeah, I don't even know what the percentages would be, like, on status quo, because one of them said we got to figure out after we see the TV deal or something like that, are we going to be the Pac-10 and just stay that way? Or are we going to be the Pac-12 again? Do we go and do that? So that's a part of this, too, that remains a little bit of a mystery.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a break right here.